The port of Skagway is a regular port of call for cruise ship lines, and the tourist trade is a major part of Skagway's business when over 900,000 visitors embark on Broadway during the summer months. That is up to 5 ships or 8,000 people per day. The White Pass and Yukon Route narrow gauge railway, part of the Gold Rush's mining past, operates purely for the tourist trade. There are many historic attractions depicting the rough and tumble lawless days in Skagway's early history. Some scenic town and landscape pictures follow as we review Skagway's colorful history. The boundary between the United States and Canada was only vaguely defined in 1871, as there were overlapping claims between the United States and Canada from the 1867 purchase from Russia. In 1887, Billy Moore, a member of the Boundary Survey team, discovered the White Pass. He and his son claimed 160 acres at the mouth of the Skagway River, thinking this would be the best route to the potential interior gold fields. They built a cabin, sawmill, and wharf. In 1896, gold was discovered in the Klondike, and on July 29, 1897, the first ocean liner docked at Moore's Wharf with the first boatload of prospectors. Ships brought thousands more as they prepared for the 500-mile trip over to the goldfields. The next year, Skagway's population swelled to over 10,000, with over 1,000 passing through each week. Between 1897 and 1898, Skagway was a lawless town with fights, prostitutes, and liquor always present, and the unscrupulous con man, Soapy Smith, encouraged lawlessness at every opportunity. Smith was a sophisticated swindler who liked to think of himself as a kind and generous benefactor to the needy. He was gracious to some, giving money to widows and holding lynchings, while simultaneously operating a ring of thieves who swindled prospectors. Smith's men played a variety of roles exceeding his previous corruptness in Denver due to the lawlessness of Skagway. On July 7, 1898, a gold miner with a $2,700 sack of gold was ripped off by 3 of Soapy's men. The next night, a vigilante committee organized a meeting at Juneau Wharf. Soapy started an argument with Frank Reed, and a gunfight unexpectedly began. Smith was fatally wounded on the spot, and Reed died 12 days later. The king of conmen was dead. The population of the general area increased enormously, reaching 30,000. A prospector's journey began when they climbed the mountains over the White Pass above Skagway, across the Canadian border to Bennett Lake, where they built barges and floated 500 miles down the Yukon River to the goldfields around Dawson City. Others disembarked at nearby Dye, a few miles northwest of Skagway, and crossed northward over the Chillicoot Pass, a second route crossing the Canadian border to reach the lakes. The Canadian Mounties began requiring each prospector entering Canada to bring with him 2,000 pounds of supplies as they crossed over the Continental Divide into Canada, ensuring he didn't starve during the coming winter. This was a new and heavy burden on the prospectors, but they did it anyway. Many stories abound about the hardships of climbing over Chillicoot Pass. Later, tramways up each pass were built, and a narrow-gauge railroad was started. By 1899, the stream of gold seekers had diminished, and Skagway's economy began to collapse. By 1900, when the railroad was completed, the gold rush was nearly over. Another historic gold rush port along the Alaska Panhandle was Haines. Although not as popular as Skagway, prospectors also use this route to the goldfields. Haines is only 15 miles by water from Skagway. Presently, ferries are the preferred travel between the two towns, as it is 360 miles by road. The Haines was awarded the National Scenic Byway status in 2009, and this was certainly one of our most scenic trips. Leaving Haines, the highway winds up the long climb to the Chilcoot Pass elevation at 3,500 feet, where it meanders through a wide alpine valley before descending to Haines Junction. Jack Dalton built a pack horse trail over the old Indian Trail to the Klondike goldfields in the late 1880s. The present road was built in 1943 during World War II as an alternate military route to the Yukon. Hyder, Alaska and Stewart, British Columbia are at the very southern tip of Alaska on a narrow 90-mile wide peninsula that separates the United States from Canada. The main street and only street in Hyder was under construction. Hyder boomed with the rich silver veins in 1917 and later copper over on the Canadian side, as mining dominated the early history of these two towns. We took a drive up to, I believe it was the Roberts Glacier on the Alaska side, a narrow winding gravel road. Now the economy is driven by forestry, mining, and tourism, with several movies and commercials filmed in the area.